All right, I'd like to welcome everybody to our Penguin Mixer for this Thursday night, coming off another big win over St. Francis, 2-game win streak. Western Illinois coming to town on Saturday, kickoff set for 1 o'clock. We do have one announcement we want to make off the top, and I'll mention it a couple times. It is important. There will be no Mixer next Thursday. We'll be at the Georgetown for the Penguin Club Jamboree. Tickets are available, so if you haven't gotten your tickets, you can get your tickets, see Jim Morrison or Jack Colonna. If you haven't been there, it's a great time. Those of you that have been there, you're going to want to go back. It's a great evening over at the Georgetown next Thursday. And some of the items that will be up for bid next week, you have a chance to win on San Francisco 49ers team autograph football, multiple football signed by the 49ers, also a number of golf packages that have been put together. You have an opportunity for that as well. Also, sideline passes for the YSU Pitt game next year. So sideline passes when the Penguins take on Pitt at Heinz Field. Also, 4 tickets and a parking pass to the Steelers-Ravens game coming up November 6th of this year. That'll be a big game for both teams there, battling for the division title, so you have a chance there as well, thanks to Dave Dybel. 4 tickets and a parking pass, and then 4 tickets for the Browns-Rams game next November. 50-yard line, undercover, club seats, premium parking pass, so you have a chance to win some Steelers and Browns and a lot of other great items. Just a fun night, and thanks to the Penguin Club for that event. That's next Thursday, the Jamboree at the Georgetown. Get your tickets. You can see Jim Morrison over here, Jack Colonna over here. And, Coach, always good to talk about a win. You jumped on them early, scored on 6 of your first 7 possessions, built the big lead. Overall, did you get out of that game what you were hoping?
Well, I think the good thing was we came out ready to play. And that's always a concern when you're playing a team that is out of conference, and everyone expects you to win. But we came out, and the one thing I was probably concerned about was the interception there. Not that it was a huge deal, but it was a poor decision. We should have just threw the ball out of the end zone. We talked about it, but hopefully that's a learning experience, and over time we'll be able to make that a touchdown or come back and have another shot at it.
Coach, you really are seeking perfection with your offense because other than that, they were near perfect in the first half. Cook, another big game, 4 touchdowns, 162 yards, all coming in a half. Cook, the first Penguin since P.J. Mays in 2001 to get 4 touchdowns in a game. And really, the team record is Paris Wicks back in 1981. Had you wanted to, you could have got that at 5. But obviously, that's not important to you. That's not what the goal is. But I guess to get 162 and a half, but you've got Torian Pace in there. You got Thompson in there. You got Bellamy. You got a lot of guys playing time at running back. That's a good thing, isn't it?
Well, that's good for experience. You have to always be ready for if you have an injury to somebody. You don't want to be like some other schools that all of a sudden a guy gets hurt, there's a big drop-off. And it's good to get that experience. But also, we're not worried about stats. Mm-hmm. A lot of people want to talk about offensive stats and what we do, this and that. We weren't very good on third down, and that's something that concerns me going into this football game. We've got to get better on third down. At one point, we were almost 50%. We've dropped off here recently, and there is no perfection. We'll never be perfect on offense, and we've got to play better. I still see a lot more potential in our offense.
What do you think it is on third down?
I think right now, recently, going back to the South Dakota State game, they changed up some coverages on us that we weren't probably specifically ready for. And then we didn't do a good job protecting the quarterback when they were giving us 3-man rush. And then, you go back to the last game there, we had a couple of third and short situations, and we didn't capitalize on them. Whereas, we felt like we should always be able to get a 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, whether we're running a power, whether we're running a lead zone play. That's a situation where whether it's blocked for 1 or 2, we feel like we need to get that first down.
Coach, do you think at all, now this is the second year with your offense and Shane Montgomery, and Coach, you see what you run, your tempo and your rhythm, do you have to change things up? I mean, there are good coaches in this league. Are you okay with that?
Well, it's not really necessarily a tempo thing. It's really more of about, when we line up, we have a couple, obviously, rule blocking things that we need to do better. And we're not perfect by no means. And then we also have the philosophy that when we hand the ball off to you, whether it's blocked for 1 or 2 or not, at some point you got to get your pads down and get a first down. And, that's where it starts. And I think we have to also avoid those 3rd and longs. We're not as successful when we're in 3rd and long. We're not at a point right now where we can sit back there and have to throw the football. And people are changing coverages knowing that we're a lot better. We are, statistically good on third down, but people are changing their coverages on us and creating a little bit of confusion. And then all of a sudden you hold the ball a little bit longer than you'd like to. Next thing you know, you've got a bad play.
What I have seen in that your offense has been so successful over the last couple of years that 90% of the plays, from your standpoint, you go up and call a play, it's a read, and you try to get a read on the defense. What I see is that a lot of the teams are trying to get that read and kind of changing their defense as you're changing your play. And I think sometimes, Bob, when you and I talk about tempo, that's my view from a tempo standpoint. Those things can change. Do you have the offensive line and running backs to make 2 yards when you need them this week or next week?
Well,
because that, at the end of the day, guys, that's the difference between competing for the national championship and not. You could have all the statistics. It's going to come down to those kind of plays offensively and defensively. I'm just curious to where you see sitting right now.
Well, since the South Dakota State game, we've been emphasizing a lot more during the course of the week what we call 4-minute offense. And so you guys know what that means is we bring in 2 tight ends. We potentially bring in fullback, potentially, or we continue just to use 2 tight ends. But we do more of a get underneath center, sometimes gun, and run gap-type scheme running plays where you run a power, have a kick out, run a power pass, run a split flow zone, run an ISO. And those are a lot more of your traditional old-school type football plays. And we've been working on that, and I think we've gotten better. We did 4-minute drill on Tuesday, and our goal was 2 first downs, and we got 2 first downs in 4 plays. So that's a good thing. It's not good for our defense, but it's a good thing. So we're progressing, and I always believe it's what you emphasize. We always worked 4-minute offense in spring ball, always worked it during camp, but it's not something that I think as coaches, at least places I've been, all the places I've been, that you work on every week, meaning, when you're working on 4-minute offense, that means you're planning on having a lot of leads at the end of the game, and you got to win them. And that's something that I've had to adjust to, grow as a coach. It's never happened anywhere I've been. It's just something that you kind of assumed or found a way to do. But we've definitely implemented it during our course of the week and our progressions as we go through Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
And I think that, and Coach, I think that's what happens with teams that just run that wide open and pass the football. You have a lead late in the game. How do you run the ball to milk the clock when you never run the football? You can't do it. And obviously you can run the football, and that's something that you're going to want to try to do. Second half, you played a lot of people. You got Mark Konetsky in. You put some other folks in there, and they got some points on the board. Game wasn't as close to the final score. Pleased with those guys and how they played? You know
what? Konetsky did a good job there. I was impressed with, obviously, Jordan Thompson, and Jordan Thompson continues to show us that he has unbelievable ability. And it's so hard to get those guys reps, but they got their opportunities. Torian Pace did a good job. Zach Conlon got in there, another true freshman that played some there at offensive line. And then we played Eric Franklin quite a bit, and we're continuing to grow him and just keep, putting fertilizer on him. So
when you say grow him, you can mean that a lot of ways, Coach. When he goes in the game, we don't miss him.
I'm trying to grow him into a guy that drinks blood and eats glass. You know what I mean?
He's a big boy.
He's big enough. I just want to get him where he needs to have that killer instinct on a consistent basis. And, by no means anybody we get here at Youngstown, they're not a finished product. And there's a process that takes place. And that's our job as coaches, is to continue to develop these kids. And, all these kids come from different backgrounds. And sometimes kids are babied, for different reasons. And that's part of our jobs as coaches, to understand where they come from, what they have, and there's a certain process that you have to go through, and you give them about a year or 2. I've been around coaches that write freshmen off when they don't do exactly the way you want them to perform, but you have to understand their background and where they come from. You're trying to change 18 years of their life, the way they grew up. They grew up 18 years and they never understood how to be on time. All of a sudden now you expect them to be on time? You expect them to be 5 minutes early? That's a huge shock to them.
It's a change of culture, right?
Yes.
In a couple minutes, we'll open up questions, so we hope you have questions. Ed, get your thoughts and Coach on this. I know last year when we played North Dakota State and we played South Dakota State and some of the physical teams, you could see that physically they were better. They were bigger, they were stronger. I sense that gap is closed tremendously, that physically against these teams. And as we look ahead, and we're not going to look ahead tonight to 2 games coming up specifically, I don't think the physical nature is much of a difference anymore. Ed, you played on the offensive line coach. You're an offensive line coach. Do you really believe the gap's narrowed against these teams? Coach, you physically, that you can hang in there with these teams?
Well, I feel like we've closed the gap, I still feel like, from crossover film that I've seen on Northern Iowa, they've got a guy up front named Boothby. He's the best defensive lineman in the league, and we're going to have to get some combination blocks on him. And North Dakota State is physical, but we don't fear him.
Right.
I mean, we're not afraid of him. We played him last year.
Right.
That's what I was going to say. Last year,
Right.
seeing him from my standpoint for the first time, not knowing what I was going to see, I didn't get what I expected. I mean, other than the South Dakota State game last year, where I thought, and really we got out physical with the running back as much as anything, I thought, if you just put a blindfold on, you would not have thought that the hype was where it actually was. So, you take a look at this year, and I feel if last year I was comfortable, with a couple changes, you're supposed to win both of those games. You're supposed to win Western Illinois. So last year was my question mark. I mean, in talking to Coach and seeing what was going on and really being around 1AA for the first time in my life that close, I really didn't know what to expect. So, you hear all of these things. It comes down to, what Coach said, and you could talk more about this, the Eric Franklin side of him needs some mental nudging.
Right.
The physicality is there. And so much of this, too, from our standpoint, whether it's Western, Northern Iowa, North Dakota State, is that maybe we're beginning like at Southern Illinois. You have to learn how to win. You have to learn how to make plays and how to think and how to approach games to win them. I mean, there are teams, pro and college, that go out every week and know that if they're down in the fourth quarter, they're going to find a way to win.
Right.
And there are teams out there that if they're up in the fourth quarter, it's like, where's the other shoe going to drop here? So
here we go
I think so much of this is on the mental side of things. I think our kids know they could play with a Western and with the rest of their schedule. From a physicality, so much of physicality is whether, Bo always used to say, whether you think you can or you think you can, you're right.
Well, Coach, this Saturday's opponent, Western Illinois, comes in off a 31-17 loss to Missouri State. 5 turnovers did them in. They sit at 1-3, 2-5 overall. Your thoughts and impressions about the Western Illinois team we'll see Saturday?
Well, they obviously have confidence that they can beat us because they beat us last year. But, their offense, they've struggled a little bit. They haven't had the success they wanted. They've given up 29 sacks. Their offensive line is not the offensive line that they had last year. Their receivers, though, are very good. And that's probably my biggest concern is I feel like they have 3 guys that match up very well against us, and they can run. It's just going to be a matter of time, matter of whether, Hudson can sit there and be able to make the throws.
Hudson,
and I think we got to change coverage.
Right.
I think we have to show blitz, back out, sometimes come and keep them off rhythm. And they've shown that they turn the ball over. Turnovers are key. They're -7 on the year. That'll be a big key. And I think defensively, early in the year they went to more of a 4-man front, which was kind of interesting to me. Is after last year's game, because I watched every game from there on, is they went to more of a 4-man front, which means they're trying to get more down linemen so they don't have all the gaps. Well, they started out the year in a 4-man front, didn't like it, got back into their 3-man front. Well, they run a 3-man front, but it's really like a bear defense. And both stand-up linebackers over top of the guards read the guards. So it's all based on what you do. They always play +1 in the box. You've heard me say it before because they're loaded up to stop the run. The difference is they only have 3 defensive linemen in a down stance. Now, they can come out Saturday and run something completely different,
right.
But that will be the matchup there, is whether we can control them up front there. There's opportunities down the field for big plays, much like I said at Southern Illinois. And, we're going to have to always come out and be able to run the football. And it sets up play-action pass. I mean, play-action passes are probably some of the most exciting things in football because you got 1-on-1, launch it. And, we have good enough receivers that they're going to make plays. Kurt's been able to put the ball in a spot, and our receivers go up and get the ball.
That is a good scouting report. Their win in the league did come over Southern Illinois, though, 27-21. Crump and Patterson are their two receivers that are very good. Patterson's a kick returner. Last week against Missouri State, he had 223 yards, all-purpose yards, returned a kick for a touchdown. 185 of his yards came on kicks. So I ask you today, and we'll share with this audience because they'll be at the game. They won't hear the pregame on the radio. Patterson's maybe the best or one of the best kick returners in the league. Do you do anything special?
Well, we got some things we're going to do. I just don't want to make sure that they get out to the wrong people. But
these are the right people, Coach.
Well, we're not going to line up and just run status quo, kick down the field. I can assure you that. Mm-hmm. But no, he's a good player, and I think Crump's a guy to play in the NFL. Wow. He's 6'3", 220, number 88. So we know who he is, and it's going to be a good matchup.
Little payback from last year too, Ed. You talk about running the football. That was a game last year. I think late we had a 3rd and 4 and didn't convert. And
3rd and 4, ran 13. Right tackle didn't switch block. I can tell you right now, I see it right now.
So you remember that. I remember drowning our sorrows, and the only place was the package store that was open in Macomb.
On the way home. Ed and I on the flight home ate about 50 Slim Jims, okay? Couldn't find anything to eat in Macomb, so we ate Slim Jims the entire way home. But go ahead, Ed. Western Illinois, this game we should get and take care of business. Coming off the win last week. I sense this team's starting to click and get it together, Ed.
Yeah, my question, and obviously you do not set the schedule, but as a coach, do you think the schedule where you have two teams that you're playing like Valparaiso and St. Francis that are not of our caliber, now we could say that after the fact, and a Michigan State that maybe is a notch up, I mean they're a pretty damn good team right now, where does that put you, Wolf, in getting your team ready to win this league and get into the playoffs and make a run versus other teams that might be available? I mean, we're swinging like a real heavy stick at Michigan State. You're swinging kind of two lower sticks. Where do you feel your team is going in this direction after 2 years compared to some other options?
Well, I don't make the schedule. The schedule's a schedule. But I will say this. At Kansas State, I go back to there a lot because that's where we turn the program around. And we always played a non-conference schedule that we used to get beat up about, but then we had confidence, so we got into conference play. We probably played better than we thought we were. And I think there's some merit to that. But, right now, I look at these 4 games going into this thing. They're all teams that, are teams that we can beat, but at the same time they can beat us. And it's really about how we prepare. And if you guys have heard me say that a lot, I just cannot emphasize how much we talk about to our kids. These kids have been brought up that it's okay to study with headphones on. Now, at one time they tried to say research said that that's okay, and that's good. That's not good. You cannot sit there and study your playbook or study for math or geography or English and be interrupted by text messages, headphones on, and it just drives me absolutely bananas. Sometimes you need some quiet time where you turn your phone off, you turn your headsets off, and you actually focus on what you're trying to do. And we've created this culture. I don't know why. But it's not good. It's not good for our environment. It's not good for everything that's going on because we have kids. I walked in the study hall the other day. Now, they're not our players, but we have people with headphones on, listening to music, supposedly studying. That doesn't work. I mean, that's not what we need to do. And we talked about it today after practice, and we're 48 hours away from the game. And to me, this is a big game. We need to go out and take care of business. And we all know that if we take care of business, which we're very, very capable of, we're starting to gel, we have confidence, and, we're starting to get a little bit of a swagger, and let's go play. It's not hard to get excited to play these guys because they stole one
right.
in many ways that we can't talk about publicly.
It'll be a great matchup. It's homecoming, and it's a 1 o'clock kickoff, Ed, so we're looking forward to it. Right now in the league, North Dakota State, Northern Iowa are both undefeated. They play Saturday at North Dakota State. YSU, Indiana State, Illinois State with 2 losses. So they're bunched together right there as you try to sort through what might take place the next month of the season in terms of looking ahead to what we hope will be a playoff run the next month, Ed.
Yeah, and I think it's quite interesting that the way this season has played out. Last year at all of these events, what were we talking about? Statistics. We're good, but we can't get that W. We now have 4 games in front of us that YSU totally controls their own destiny. And from our standpoint, have we recruited the right players? Have they matured enough? Can we put them in the right spots? Can we get them focused on the game to win these 4 games? And there's nobody on the outside that has to make a comment on it. It's go play 4 football games. And I think it's a beautiful end of this season with all of the growth that has taken place over the last 2 years to kind of have our own report card be those 4 games. 4 weeks from now, we don't need to read anything about where this thing has come. And I think that's a good position to be in from a football team standpoint. Right. I don't think anybody in this room believes that we don't control our own destiny. And if we would happen to get on a roll and win these 4 games, I guarantee you there's none of the other 19 teams that want to play us.
Right. And you look last year, the games we got beat by these teams, we weren't dominated. They were a couple plays here and there, and we're better defensively. Now, the game against Northern Iowa, since we won't have a show next week, I mean, Rennie, the quarterback, made some plays. I think he can make plays now and get 7, 8 yards, not 20. Or maybe 10, 12, not get 30. I mean, he killed us with his legs, and that'll be the matchup next week. So, again, it'll be at the Georgetown next week, the Jamboree. There won't be a show here. Let's open up questions. Anybody have any questions, comments, thoughts about last week or looking ahead to Saturday's game at Western Illinois? Any comments or questions out there tonight? Tony, go ahead. Josh Lee, our best defensive back.
That's a good question, Tony. I would say he has the potential to be our best boundary corner right now at this time. And he will start. Devontae Davis, we moved him down after last week. And that's just something that I believe in. If you don't play well, we move you down. So we'll move him down. And then Jimmy May actually made some good plays on some slant routes. And I told Jimmy, now, when they see you be aggressive on a slant route, guess what happens? Slant and go. South Dakota State. But he learned from that. He's a freshman. His wounds have healed a little bit. And Jimmy's a pup, but he'll be all right.
David Rogers didn't play at tight end last week. What's his status? Sprained foot?
David will be out. Potentially, right now it's looking like he may be back for the Northern Iowa game. But we've moved Will Shaw back over there at tight end. And we got Will Sharbaugh there, and then Nate Adams, and we feel good about those 3 guys. Will Shaw brings something that you guys will like to the game on Saturday. He can run them down the field vertically as well as anybody, much like those guys at Indiana State have.
Any other questions tonight for Coach? We'll do the drawings here in just a minute. I guess we covered it pretty well, Coach.
Quite crown.
Yeah.
Tony's
Go ahead, Tony.
DJ Main strained his quad muscle in the last game, and he will not be available. So we're going to go with Eric Franklin in there at right tackle, and then we also have a different lineup where we go with Lamar Mady at left tackle, Fred Herman at left guard, and Radakovich at right tackle. And I've been kind of excited about Lamar Mady's athleticism at left tackle.
You did some of that in the fall,
we always
in the early summer, right?
That's always the common question I ask Coach Brasillo because sometimes you just get caught up in worrying about who's blocking who, but who's our 6th best guy, who's our 7th best guy, who's our 8th best guy, and it's not really about who's the next right tackle, who's the next best player available on the field, and if you put the next best player available on the field. Do you want that guy playing next to that guy on the other side? If you have an experienced guy at left guard, you're okay putting a guy in there that maybe doesn't have the experience. So those are all the things that we talk about constantly as a staff, And we had a half-hour discussion about that today. And, you just evaluate it continually after practice, and that's why practice is so important. On Tuesdays, you got to have a good practice, so that way you can come back and pull things in and out of the game plan, what you can and cannot do, so that way you have a chance to be successful on Saturday.
You're starting to develop that depth on the offensive line.
We're getting there. We're a little bit better, but we got a chance to. We're gonna nail some recruits this fall. I'll tell you that right now, and we're gonna be stacked on the O-line for once. And if you're not playing with a high motor, you're gonna be sitting down.
Well, Coach, I know you said last week when we talked this. When you look at your team, there's no question. I think that the strength and the depth is at running back. You think you got some young guys that are freshmen that could be better than anything you have right now. I mean, that just speaks volumes about some of your recruiting.
Come out to practice. Watch Damon Hines run. Yeah. Ed was there the other day. What'd you think of 5?
I thought that you were going to lose your voice.
Yeah, but
because the defense couldn't tackle him.
Can't tackle him.
Right.
He might be the best running back
he's
ever.
Out of Warren Harding, and
Unreal.
He's I thought too. And just watching body language from up in the booth, which like a guy like Pace hardly ever plays, but when he gets in there, man, he looks like he does all the right things, Coach. He looks like a good kid.
He has great character. He's a team player,
right?
And if you're not a team guy, get out of the boat. And that's just the way it's got to be. And some guys continually want to draw individual attention to themselves, want to be distractions and not do things right. And hey, we'll try to rehabilitate you, bring you along, but at some point, you just got to be a team guy. And Torian Pace is a team football player. He helps us in recruiting, does a great job academically, helps us out in so many different ways around the community. And, he's a star.
Right. He really, you watch him play, he looks like he's just the kind of kid you'd want on your football team and can help you get better.
He's good.
He's a good player.
I'm just saying he's fourth. He's fourth of our guys, which probably is first on a lot of other teams, and you never hear a word other than positive. And I'm seeing this year as well in a guy that was voted captain and could have had a bad attitude defensively. I'm seeing John Sasson, Coach, am I correct, doing the same thing defensively?
Yeah, that was difficult for John, but it's a tough game, and things don't always work out your way. But he's kept a positive attitude, plays on special teams. He always knows what he's doing at Mike and Will linebacker there. And before it's all over, we're going to need John Sasson to come in there at linebacker and make a play. That's the way it always happens. I guarantee you, and that's why kids like that are successful in life. I mean, life's not fair, as we know.
Let's go with the raffle, Trev. We got some things we're going to give away. And I want to remind you, next week to Georgetown, the Penguin Club Jamboree. So we'll be back here 2 weeks from tonight after the win over Northern Iowa, and we preview North Dakota State. So we'll be back 2 weeks from tonight. But you can see Jim Morrison, Jack Colonna to get your tickets.
And everybody that's been here every week will get this room, and all the newcomers that come after the Northern Iowa win will be in the ballroom over there.
Okay. That's a good. What are we going to do first, Trevor? We've got Loge tickets here. Go ahead, Coach. I'll let you pick it. We've got Loge tickets.
Got Trevor Parks there. Right there.
We got Judy Hancock, Loge tickets. Judy works with. She is. Judy works with me over United Way. Judy got some Loge tickets.
She got it all.
All right.
Free game.
No, and the Loge tickets. That's pretty awesome. That's great. What are we going to do next? Jeff Crystal, Overture's Restaurant, downtown Youngstown. Jeff, great supporter. Crystal's Catering, Overture's Restaurant.
Tony won that.
$25 the certificate. We've got Jerry Fulham. Jerry Fulham. All right, Jerry, Overture's Restaurant.
There we go. Jerry got a big winner.
What's up next, Trev? All right, we'll do the T-shirts on the next two. YSU T-shirts. And we've got Bill Costas got a T-shirt. Bill, you got a YSU T-shirt. This will be for the second YSU.
New Lake Club member there too.
Is that right?
Yep.
Very good. New Lake Club member. All right, Coach. Cher Marshall. I'm sure you need a YSU T-shirt.
No, she already won.
No, Cher? All right, we'll pick another name out. Chet Cooper.
His wardrobe's weak.
Coach said his wardrobe's weak. He needs a T-shirt. So we're going to hook him up. All right, one more. We'll pick another one. He's going to pass on the T-shirt, too. Tim Wolford. All right, there you go. I'm sure you struggle to get some YSU stuff, too, but we'll go. That's great. We'll do football next. We'll do the signed football next. Daryl Mincy. Doc Mincy back in the house tonight. Good to see you, Doc. Daryl Mincy gets the YSU football. And we got anything else tonight? Trevor? Is that everything?
Coach Kopp, Difference, right?
$100 gift certificate to the Difference Clothing out in Canfield. All right. We will get that to you. We'll get that certificate to you. So, Diana Delicio gets the Difference. $100 gift certificate to the Difference in Canfield, men's clothing. Hey, Ed, I want to announce, too, end of the year, what are we going to do again with people to come every week?
It's the Penguin Palooza.
Okay.
Everybody who came through the year fills out this card. It goes into a big drum. There's going to be a number of YSU prizes and things, with one of the lead prizes being the wine room dinner downstairs for 8 people.
That's awesome. That's a great gift. Again, thanks to all of you for coming out tonight. You make the show and you make it happen. We're going to be back 2 weeks from tonight. Next week, it's the Penguin Club Jamboree, our pregame at 12:30. Chad has the tailgate show at noon. Coach, kickoff 1 o'clock. Should be a lot of fun. Looking forward to it.
Looking forward to it. And you said get there early, right? Miss the parade
yes,
so we can get in our
there
parking
early.
lot.
Get your parking spot because the parade will be coming up 5th at about 11 o'clock, I think, on Saturday. Thanks for coming, everybody. We'll see you at the stadium this weekend.